A University of Houston report shows that students of color in Texas are more likely to be cited for disciplinary violations, more likely to be punished by exclusion, and more likely to be punished than their white peers in general.
Too much propaganda, spiritual pollution, too many problems, not enough solutions, so many billionaires that make no contributions, gotta create fund and maintain our institution.
All right, listen up, y'all.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Another episode of All Things Education Official. I'm your host and educator, DrAbdullah, giving you educational news from the foundational Black American mass perspective. If you like what you're seeing, you like what you're hearing, please subscribe, comment, like, and share. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Help put me in the algorithm. If you like the content, please go on over to the About section, buy me a cup of coffee. It'd be greatly appreciated. And if you want to follow me on my social media handles, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, LinkedIn, and X. Today, we're going to be traveling to Arlington, Texas, all the way to Arlington, Texas, to discuss the dismissal of a student athlete by the name of Jahiem Green from Arlington Baptist University, based purely upon the perception of his tone in text messages and emails.
Jahiem Green has been out of school and back home in Killeen for months, claiming he was expelled for questioning how he was treated by administration. I've been reviewing meeting video and message exchanges for weeks and found two very different perceptions.
I've never gotten in trouble before, so I was very scared and confused.
Just weeks into his freshman year at Arlington Baptist University, Jahiem Green received this text message from VP of Student Affairs Peggy Smith, accusing him of living off campus, a violation of the school's policy for freshmen.
I would mess up me playing basketball for that year.
Green messaged back, asking why he received the message, adding that he was living on campus, writing, "What is going on?" Days later, Green would receive this document, dismissing him from the university. In it, Dean Smith wrote, "The nature of his tone in his initial response led her to send this message, directing him to meet with her."
I thought it would be very important just to have someone that I trust just in the meeting with me for my support.
Based on the evidence presented, it's easy to see that this young man was merely expressing his concerns about being accused of something that was very untrue. It would seem that the VP of Student Affairs, Ms. Peggy Smith, was more interested in showing her power and dominating than rectifying the situation. This situation reeks of, who the hell you think you talking to?
But when he requested to schedule a time when he could have another adult present, Smith responded that he did not have that option. After multiple back and forth exchanges, they did eventually meet.
I just started recording for my safety.
Green questioned why they had to meet at all if he wasn't actually living off campus and violating school policy.
I'm so confused. Anything that you've, anything about the mistakes on y'all part?
What mistakes on our part?
With me being living on campus?
I was simply going to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you to explain how I perceived the text message that you sent as inappropriate. And because you chose to take it to the other level, there are consequences to that behavior.
How she perceived his text messages? Wouldn't it be better to ask him as an adult man and a student? What was the intent and sentiment behind his messages? Wouldn't that make more sense? Or if you felt that it was so egregious, wouldn't it have made sense to bring in a third party to have that discussion with him? Because obviously you became enraged at what you perceived to be something that it may not have been, and it led to something so very, very sinister.
The consequence came hours later when Green was informed he was dismissed and had to be off campus that night, citing his behavior in the meeting as, quote, egregious.
My tone, the way I was talking, I used any profanity. I was very respectful.
In an email, Dean Smith wrote, "It is regrettable that some students or parents believe they should be exempt from the same policies that apply to everyone else. The university's student handbook includes a tiered system for discipline, with dismissal mentioned as an option after 4 violations. But the policy includes an exception for behavior, quote, perceived as egregious."
That was just very extreme.
Green has hired legal representation to fight for his transcripts so he can transfer to pursue his basketball dreams somewhere else. In Arlington.
Because I've been in contact with the mother of Brother Jahiem, I was afforded the opportunity to actually see the text exchange, the actual text exchange. And I'm of the opinion that the messages that were sent by Jahiem were really or merely attempting to get clarity and gain clarity about the situation. And he wanted to respond to the university officials. And my thing is this: the university officials' response was merely a play or ploy to just put him back in his place. My son, he's working currently on his doctorate, and he's in an HBCU, and he has given me tons of information about how the older women, particularly, and it pains me to say it, particularly the older black women who work in his office, and how they interact with him. And my son is very mild-mannered, doesn't say much, he's really about his business. And he says it's almost a feeling of disdain and contempt that he just kind of brushes off because he has better things to do and he has more things to focus on. But in my personal opinion, it's just merely my opinion on this particular issue, I think that that's a particular situation we're going through with Brother Jahiem. I call it across the board. I mean, you know, of course, oftentimes when we talk about educational spaces, and I'm talking about the Black American community, particularly black men, I talk about how there are injustices that are embedded in the system and how we have to work around them and create systems of our own. But I'm aware that sometimes many of our struggles come from those who look like us or come from within our own community. And I like to call it across the board, because if you don't, you don't have integrity. So I don't care what the person looks like, what their background is. If they're impeding black people from success, I gotta call them out. And it's important that we value one another. I think that's what happened here. This young man, though he has a stellar track record academically, socially, has no problems, never got into trouble, he wasn't valued as a student. He wasn't valued as a member of her community. And I assume he's a part of her community, that she's Black American. I don't know. But I do know that he wasn't valued in this position, because I don't believe that there was any reason that an expulsion should have been warranted. This was nothing more than a mistake on the part of the university that could have been rectified by anyone who is not hell-bent on trying to remove this young man. And as they say in the community, I think this is a classic case of, I'ma let a mother effer know who run this bish. Sad to say, but I believe it's true. This has been another episode of All Things Education Official. I am your host and educator, Dr. Abdullah, giving you educational news from a foundational Black American man's perspective. Please feel free to subscribe, comment, like, and share. Hit that like button. Hit the like button. Put me back in the algorithm. And if you like what I'm doing, once again, go to the About section, buy me a cup of coffee. It'd be greatly appreciated. You are dismissed.
Yeah! You are all expurgated. You are dismissed.
Too much propaganda, spiritual pollution. Too many problems, not enough solutions. So many billionaires that make no contributions. Gotta create fund and maintain our institutions. Word to the masses, our government is backwards. Only thing I've learned is what a barrel and a crab is. Deploying all these tactics to keep us all distracted. Scrolling on our gadgets and we scroll right past it. While we caught up in the fashion, they sitting back laughing. This education we're lacking, all the laws they be passing. Peep the curriculum, you see they're subtracting the necessary work. These kids mentally absent. Turned out full plastic.